Greetings from the Philippines to the world. We are on Facebook Live on Eagle News and also on our streaming site, eaglenewslive.com. Watch us on our YouTube channel at Eagle News. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Join me discover the latest news and information in business around the world. Stay ahead of the curve from vision to action. Open for Business is back, and with me is the advisor of the International Digital Asset Exchange Association, or IDAX, and the principal consultant of Emfarsis, Mr. Nathan Smale. Thank you, Nathan, for coming over.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your topic would be understanding global regulation, and a lot of people out there, especially the ones who have already invested, and also the enthusiasts who would want to go into blockchain and cryptocurrency. In a gist, what do we expect in terms of regulation?
Certainly. So, regulation is a very tricky matter because it can vary so much from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But I think it's important for people to remember that on the whole, regulations are there designed to actually promote safety for the individual and also for entire countries. So, at a global level, regulation is being designed as much as possible to promote safety. And once we have a safer industry, then you'll actually see more money coming into the market, which actually allows for greater growth and a greater profitability for people.
How do you think should the market react in terms of trust, safety, and security in these new technologies?
I think, like any technology, it really does pay to educate yourself. I think people should do a good amount of research about what they're getting into, but also to look for organisations and companies that really lead the way in terms of best practice in following regulations. So here in the Philippines, it is a huge opportunity for blockchain technologies and particularly cryptocurrency. And we've sort of seen that. Companies like Coins.ph do an amazing job of delivering simple cryptocurrency and blockchain experiences to everyday Filipinos. I love one of their main metrics is the number of hours that they've actually saved people from standing in line. So once you actually sort of start to use their system, you can see how easy cryptocurrency is, and that's a great experience. But at the same time, if you really follow their journey, they've engaged with regulators, they've done all the right things, and they have an amazing process that takes you through to actually make sure you do the right KYC and identity checks and things. They make that process quite seamless, and that allows for people to enter the market quite safely to get experience in cryptocurrency and learn the basics. And that's really important for people to really understand the technology. So I don't think too many people should go from knowing nothing to investing in cryptocurrency. I think it's important to actually, educate yourself, learn about it, then buy a little bit, use it to pay a phone bill, for example.
What is your outlook of the Philippine market in the blockchain industry?
So speaking from a personal perspective, I love it here, which is why I moved here. So I actually live up in Pampanga. But from a global perspective, I think the Philippines is an incredibly interesting test bed for cryptocurrency and blockchain. As you pointed out, there's over 7,000 islands and a huge number of unbanked or underbanked. And so when you actually start to look at that, there's a real opportunity for the Philippines to kind of leapfrog a lot of older technologies that often hold countries back when they're looking to innovate, because we don't have all of those systems that are baked in that people are trying to upgrade, for example, so you can deploy new solutions quicker when you're not held back by legacy systems. I think a huge thanks to Eagle Broadcasting. It's such a good opportunity to educate and engage, and I think that's probably the biggest takeaway message for everyone in cryptocurrency and blockchain. If we actually know the technology, we should use that as an opportunity to educate others and take everyone on the journey, and I think Eagle Broadcasting Corporation is doing a fantastic job of that.
That's the advisor of the International Digital Asset Exchange Association and principal consultant of Emfarsis, Mr. Nathan Smale.
So 3 of those key elements are that your identity is not directly linked to the ownership of a cryptocurrency wallet. It can be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So in that respect, what happens on the blockchain, it is traceable and we can see it, but it's not directly linked to an identifiable person. Secondly, it does allow peer-to-peer transactions. So two individuals can send cryptocurrency to one another without it going through any banks or anything like that. So if it's just between two people, how is it regulated? Who's going to control that? That makes it difficult. And then thirdly is with a 24-word key phrase, you're able to create an infinite amount of accounts, and each of those is completely separate from the other and can't be linked. So an individual could create a new crypto wallet for every transaction. These are things that make it really hard to regulate, but it doesn't mean that we can't, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't. So when we look at regulation, I tend to break it down quite simplistically. You have heard that there are a lot of nuances around this, but I like to think of the SEC as protecting the people and the individuals, whereas Banco Central is about protecting the nation. And I'll explain these two levels of regulation in a moment. So, the SEC protecting people's investments. The SEC put out regulations and they have a lot of rules as to what should constitute an investment, and that is designed to stop Filipinos losing money. And this is around the world. Typically, most regulation in this space is to make sure that if people are going to be investing in something, whether it's stocks, whether it's cryptocurrency, or any other matter, that the right checks have been done to minimize the chance of people losing money. It does not mean you won't, but it's about minimizing that risk to the individuals of a nation that are putting money in. So that tends to be one of the main remits of an SEC, regardless of what country they're in. Now, when we look at a central bank, typically a central bank in history, they're responsible for things like maintaining a stable economy, managing international transfers, things like that. So that was the smooth running of a nation. We then had a moment of terror, 9/11, and the central banks typically gained a lot more responsibility for ensuring that things like that don't happen again. And that's where we actually, was touched on earlier, the Financial Action Task Force. That's a intergovernmental body that sits above each nation and sets out a set of guidelines to say, we should put these rules in place to minimize the chance of terrorist funding and money laundering. Each country then signs up to that and says, well, if the Financial Action Task Force said that this is the best way to protect us, let's write those as laws within our country. And countries who don't participate get put on lists to say, oh, maybe you shouldn't deal with that country because they're not willing to come to the party when it comes to stopping terrorism. So they're kind of the two methods of regulation. There's protecting the people from losing money through investments and then trying to protect the economy in the country as a whole. And for anyone who is looking to actually start to get involved from the usage of cryptocurrency, or dare I say even investing in it, my advice, although it says not advice, is to find companies that are actually working with regulators who do have safety checks in place and are doing all the right things. And I think it's a really important part of learning about cryptocurrency is to use it. So before people start looking at investing in it, I would say buy a little bit, use it to pay a bill, send it to a friend. If you actually start to understand how the technology works, you'll start to really understand the opportunity that exists, and that's where you can get more and more into it and go down the rabbit.
Thank you for watching Open for Business. Join us again in the next episodes of Open for Business for more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, and industry experts promoting business development in the Philippines. See you again every Saturday and Sunday here in Open for Business, where we discuss business information, deliver the latest business news to keep you informed, and open for business and be ahead of the curve from vision to action. You're on Facebook Live on Eagle News, and you can watch us again in the video section of the Eagle News Facebook page and on eaglenewslive.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Eagle News. For Open for Business, this is Cesar Vallejos. Have a great day.